Hello everyone, my name is Louise and I am the SIL coordinator at the Richmond Center for Disability. SIL stands for Supports for Independent Living, which is the employment services portion of what RCD offers. And my colleague is?
My name is Dina McInnes and I am an RCD Manager of Organizational Development.
And we have been invited here today to have a conversation about the ups and downs of working from home. Now, as you know, just over a year ago, the COVID-19 virus turned everybody's world upside down. And it made me think of the fact, Dina, that I had heard before of the fact that I believe Chinese word for crisis is made up of both crisis and opportunity. And the Richmond Center for Disability really took this crisis in terms of how it impacted our office and turned it into an opportunity. If you had come to visit us before, we had chaos in the office because all the activities took place in the office, and we were not Zoom focused in how we deliver things. But it's really quite impressive how we've been able to make that transition to be able to reach out to our membership and to the larger community and deliver services that way. So I'm just wondering, Dina, what are some of your experiences with some of the advantages of, speaking of ourselves as employees, we've done a lot more working from home than we did before because of protocols around distancing and so on. So what's some of your experiences around the advantages of working from home?
One of the major advantages that I've found so far is the time and the energy that is saved just by being able to be at home. I work and live an hour away from each other. So it is so nice to not have to have that hour's drive. It is nice not to have to spend that 15 minutes on either end of my drive getting in and out of my vehicle. So the huge time savings in there, an hour and a half on both ends of my day, is very significant for me, and it, as a result, does save some energy. It's also kind of neat because at the end of the workday, then for me, the workday is ended. If you choose those boundaries, if you have those boundaries, we'll get into some of the disadvantages after, but that is certainly one for me. If the workday is ended when and I don't have that hour's drive home, it's fabulous that way. I also find it's a touchy one, but it can also be a little bit easier to get things accomplished because, as you've said, Louise, there's no people coming in and out of the office as much because our office is closed to the public right now, and if I'm home alone, I have no other duties other than what I put my job description, what I put before myself, and so my time management's much easier to control and getting things done. How about you, Louise? How many advantages?
Totally agree with both those statements that you just made. And in addition, one of the things that I've really enjoyed about doing a lot of the teaching that I've been doing and through Zoom is for me, from an accessibility point of view. I am a power wheelchair user, and so really, it doesn't really matter what office you're in. Often, it's snug for you with desks around. And so for me, being able to have all of my students during my English class, for example, up in front of my face on the Zoom has made everyone very accessible to me. And this also includes another class which we will briefly mention at the end of our presentation that we've been doing called In Motion and Momentum Plus. And we are able, through the wonders of Zoom, we're able to have participants join us who are in Surrey, in Vancouver, and really, truly, it could be boundless. It could be province-wide, if so chose. And so it really increases, if you will, accessibility for our participants as well on one level.
I think Zoom also helps us to really stay connected. As you were saying, just through Zoom, it's really neat to be able to relate to people. It fascinates me that we can be at home in our own environment and still be connected with our participants, with our colleagues. And so there is that opportunity there, and how easy it actually is to do that. It kind of fascinates me, the ease with which that happens, and as we were talking at the beginning about how easy it was to, and how fast RCD managed to accommodate the changes that we needed to make because of the pandemic arriving. We were able to keep those services going. So it's also neat that we can set up our own work environment at home, and again, that a little bit to do with access to, and how you can set things up for you, in a way that works for you, with the desk and mobility issues and computer and the technology. If you can manage all of that at home, to be able to set it up to the way you need it, it's certainly an advantage for sure.
Yes, and I agree with that point as well, Dina. And I'll admit to you that I am part plant, so the closer I can be to a window for natural light, the happier I am. And so I can't grow a plant, mind you. I'll guarantee you I'll kill a plant, but definitely like to be by my natural light, which, working by my living room window does give me that privilege. However, there are some disadvantages that go with that as well. And one of them that comes to mind for me with that is, we are connected, but only through Zoom. So when we are in the office, we have the advantage of, basically the whole team of our group being literally right by each other. But it does form camaraderie, and so you can, if you don't work at it, you can begin to lose some of that connectedness, and that isn't always the best, but it's another area that the RCD, we've been fortunate that our executive has given that some good thought, because, for example, Dina and I were involved teaching a course when when staff meetings would often happen. And so what our organization has done has recorded those for us, so that we can listen to them and then stay connected with what's going on. So it helps a lot when you have an employer that is also willing to think outside of the box and adjust to the new realities.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I was thinking as you were talking about the other disadvantages, and one of the things that we mentioned as an advantage is you can set up your own workspace, which is fabulous. I'm just learning the advantages of cordless computers and headphones and so on, because I know the first day that Louise and I were teaching the course that she's mentioned, we had a coffee break, and I pulled away from my computer, and the cords were stuck in my wheels of my wheelchair, and on the floor the computer was. And so I've been exposed to cordless technologies since then, and I can sure see the advantage, because it is really important to keep your workspace organized, to get the work done that you need to get done, and to be able to have the space and use the space that you have at home, and not put the computer on the floor by you getting it caught up in your wheelchair.
And that makes me actually think of another sort of disadvantage, in that when we are in the office, and if we have a computer crisis, again, our guru is a little more in hand. However, he's been very good to us virtually as well. But, again, it is one of the benefits. And another one that you alluded to earlier, Dina, is yes, you can have the advantage that you end your workday at 5 o'clock or whenever your normal workday end is. And, you save the commute. So before, you just have to blink your eye and you're at home. But the other side of that is it's really easy to forget those boundaries. It's not that you don't want to do your job well, but it's very easy to just go, oh, I'll just do this one more thing. Oh, I'll do that one more thing because I want to get it done. And you may not get the time you need for yourself. And we all know that you need to have your downtime in order to be able to do your job well when you're on. So, and I think they've had quite a bit of that on the mainstream media as well. They've talked about, those of you who are watching may recall them talking about setting time where you turn all your technology off, and what a challenge it is even to turn your phone off, because we're so used to, our phones are like our umbilical cords these days.
Mm-hmm. I sure agree with you on that one. I find I'm one of those people that if I keep going, I'm okay, and then I'll get it finished, and then I'll rest, and then I'll have dinner, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do that, and I have this habit of eating dinner quite late then, because I'll just get this one more thing done before. And so the personal boundaries sometimes can be really lost in there if we don't do that self-care thing. And but I've discovered that you can also eat snacks at home that you can't eat in the office, so it's kind of fun to do that too if I remind myself to do that. So
Dina, eat a snack?
Oh, shush, I don't.
And that is one of my advantages of not being at the office, is that we actually do have a very nice snack desk.
That's true, we do.
Which is not at my home.
That's true. The other thing that I think is sad though about for our center for disadvantages, we've lost that in-person connection with our colleagues, but also with our participants, and I know that some of them when they're in the office a lot, they eventually, the friendships do start, and they start going to Starbucks together. They start going to just for a walk together. They start just having that communication and smiling and eye contact and hand holding that isn't possible through Zoom. And I have to give our participants a lot of credit for adapting to the degree that they have been able to, and I'm hoping that when the pandemic is ended, that they'll get that opportunity to go for Starbucks again, because I think it's something that they truly miss. And as Louise is saying too, it just, as you're saying, Louise, the technology, when we have troubles with it, not that we ever do, there's always it's a little bit more of an alone feeling when you're at home trying to figure it out. So it's and then there's that self-isolation thing. It's really easy if we forget about the self-care. And if we forget about getting connected, I think we're lucky that we have jobs that sort of make us get connected, and a leader that makes us stay connected with our colleagues through Zoom. And I think that's incredibly important, because otherwise these days there's a lot of restrictions on what we're allowed to do socially. And it's just really important to make ourselves stay connected and not not allow ourselves to feel isolated and alone.
And again, this whole redoing of society, so that we're doing more things through Zoom. one of the ways to look at that is to try and seize the opportunity. And so if you are feeling like you're disconnected, maybe you don't at this point in your life have a volunteer or a paid job that you are normally part of that's helped you transition, take advantage. If you obviously you're watching us on our YouTube channel already, but if you're not pardon me, if you're not otherwise connected with the center, visit our website and click on the activities calendar, and you will see that there is a wide variety of different types of programs that is going on right now that you can take advantage of. Right now you're obviously watching one, and then there's Get Good At, there's public speaking classes, there are reading and writing classes that you need to register for though. There are relaxation classes and exercise classes that you can do as well. So you can be part of a group just through Zoom. And so we would invite you to take that opportunity to be growing some skills. If you are thinking, the purpose of this conversation was what was our experience with people who are working and the transition. But if you're not yet working and you're thinking of doing so, whoops, here I am moving my papers in front of the camera. You might want to consider, if you are a person with a disability and you think you are quite able to be self-reflective about what are the things that are important to me, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and maybe begin to give some thought to what kind of a preferred future you might have. You might want to reach out to us and see if our In Motion and Momentum course, which will run again in September, would be a good fit for you. Again, at this point, due to the pandemic, the plan is to offer it virtually. So it really doesn't matter from where in the province you are watching from. You could potentially join in with us. It's a bit of a commitment, so speak to us first, and we'll talk to you, tell you more about it, and let you know. We can find out. And those are some skills that you can be looking at. And then if you are at this point of your life, ready to be looking for work, but maybe you haven't been doing that because of the pandemic and you're wondering what happens next. As I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, I am the SOL coordinator. I oversee our employment services, and so I do meet with individuals these days through phone and if necessary through Zoom to look at what their volunteer and career goals might be and to help you move toward them. So if you wish, you're welcome to reach out for me for that as well. If you are interested in virtual opportunities, certainly with this transition in society, there are more and more companies that are indicating on their job postings if a particular opening can be done virtually. But of course, you've got to have, the necessary education and skills connected to that job, right? And that's true of any job, whether you're doing it virtually or in person. So, but I'm happy to talk about that with you. And the other thing that virtual opportunities often will call for is that you have a workstation that you can actually be working out of if you are wanting to work from home. And to do that, if you didn't have an opportunity to view last week's broadcast or presentation, my colleague Ian did a terrific job presenting information to you on exactly how to set up that perfect workstation to work from home. So
I think this is a great time, I think, to take advantage of the opportunity to learn new skills, to brush up on your skills, to find out what your skills are and your abilities are, find out what you really want to do, and look at the advantages and disadvantages. What will work for you to set up with your lifestyle and your goals and skills and abilities, and live the life that you want to live. So I think
that's about the end of our conversation.
there you go.
Thank you
Thanks
for
so much.
eavesdropping on our conversation. Bye.
Thank you.